Year 1789. Life was hard. We lived under poverty and unfair taxation directed to us, the poor third estate, while the first and second were hardly taxed, if at all. We needed a change. We needed a revolution.
Yes! France wasn't at its best. We, the Third Estate, made up 80% of the population. We were artisans, farmers, peasants, bourgeoisies, lawyers, doctors, common people, and we were suffering. People were poor and overtaxed. Prostitutes and criminals roamed the streets. Families struggled to provide food since harvests had been bad. Vagabonds even ravaged farms for food. Babies were left on streets because parents knew they couldn't support them. Meanwhile, the First Estate clergy and the Second Estate nobility were rich and better off.
But everyone had a part in the revolution, even the women. One example is the Women's March to Versailles, October 5th, 1789.
At this time, women were being influenced by the Enlightenment thinkers, and wanting more rights and power, they started playing a proactive role in the revolution.
O women, women, when will you cease to be blind? What advantage have you received from the revolution? A more pronounced scorn, a more marked disdain? In the centuries of corruption, you ruled only over the weakness of men. Unite yourself beneath the standards of philosophy, deploy all the energy of your character, and you will soon see these haughty men not groveling at your feet as servile adorers, but proud to share with you the treasures of the Supreme Being. Mariam de Gauche, 1791.
Eventually, the women reached Versailles aiming to get flour and to bring the royal family back to Paris so that they could see how terrible things were becoming in France. But
we want bread! We want our bread! Now!
the women valiantly fought for the royal flour and brought it back to make bread to feed their starving family.
No!
Oh, get the flour!
The women fought brutally like men, putting 2 aristocrat heads on pikes.
In addition, the women also escorted the royal family back to Paris so that the royalty could witness how horrible and poor the rest of France was becoming. Besides the women's efforts, peasants all over France were revolting however they could.
But this wasn't always so simple, because they were poor and weaponless and could not possibly fight. An example would be when the king sent troops to Versailles to arrest the Third Estate representatives. The common people were outraged by this. Having no weapons and no way to rebel, they decided to get weapons. Breaking the Bastille and stealing all the weapons the prison had, the people of Versailles now had weapons to revolt and rebel with. And they started their rebellion there, at Bastille, by putting the chief magistrates and commander heads on pikes.
Besides women and poor peasants, even lawyers and politicians revolted. One politician who supported the revolution was Camille Desmoulins. He was known for his great revolutionary speeches. The storming of Bastille is even believed to have been inspired by a speech from Desmoulins at the Palais Royal on July 12, 1789. Another speech he is known for was named, "It's a Crime to be King." In it, he had this to say:
Who shall judge Louis XVI? The whole people, if it can. We must recur to the maxim of Montesquieu. Let a free people do all that it can by representatives and commissioners. It is evident that the people sent us here to judge the king and to give them a constitution. Camille Desmoulins, 1793.
Another politician who greatly supported the revolution was Maximilien Robespierre, a childhood friend of Camille Desmoulins. Maximilien Robespierre was iconic during the French Revolution for leading the Reign of Terror to punish counter-revolutionists. During this time, many people were killed, especially through the use of the guillotine, which, along with Robespierre, became iconic for the Reign of Terror. During Robespierre's terror, nearly 40,000 people were executed or died in prisons, while 300,000 others were thrown into jail. Clerical power was squandered during the terror by forcing priests to marry and eliminating Sunday from the calendar, which was replaced by a new 12 30-day months calendar divided into 10-day weeks. These killings were encouraged, explained, and justified by Robespierre's own great speeches.
Terror, without which virtue was powerless. Terror is nothing else than justice, prompt, secure, and inflexible. It is therefore an emanation of virtue. It is less a particular principle than a consequence of the general principles of democracy, applied to the most urgent wants of the country. Maximilien Robespierre, February 5th, 1794.
Robespierre's reign of terror was generally tolerated because it was used to protect the revolution from both foreign and domestic threats. However, once Robespierre had effectively purged foreign threat from France, the people of the National Convention voted upon Robespierre's death, and the terror was over by August 1794. But in the end, despite all these efforts from women, peasants, and politicians, the French Revolution failed us. We had gone from a monarchy to a constitutional monarchy.
You all have rights. It says it right here.
To a republic. And to a monarchy again. The freedom we fought for was only ephemeral. So in the end, what was the point of it all? What really changed?
Parliament gained more power. Women, although having their rights revoked, showed France how strong they could be. Their status was not altered, but their power was made known to all of France. The king's power was lessened by the Declaration of the Rights of Man, which inspired the first constitution and the constitution still used today in France.
So we, people of the Third Estate, wrote France's constitution.
In addition, clerical power and wealth was also restricted. Feudalism was ended by the National Assembly. This stopped the church from collecting taxes and the forced labor of poor peasants. The end of feudalism also allowed positions in church, army, and government to be open to all citizens of France.
The bourgeoisie, merchants of the Third Estate, rose in power.
The ending of slavery was inspired and achieved soon after the revolution ended. And other revolutions, such as the Haitian, were inspired by our revolution.
Overall, France had reverted back to a monarchy, but we were a new people. We weren't the lowly Third Estate anymore. We were citizens of France, upholders of liberty and equality, united under our revolutionist flag and rebellious anthem, which still holds today.